A lot can happen in a few milliseconds. For the fastest hunters in the ocean, that's all it takes to inflict death.
That's what those teeth can potentially do to any soft flesh.
Now, a team of scientists is about to attempt an unprecedented feat: photographing high-speed fish using super slow-motion video.
So these tuna, these bonito, they're like F-16s. They're like little rockets in the water. Before I can turn around, it's gone.
It's the ultimate high-tech fishing trip, but it could get dangerous. It'll take incredible skill and some fisherman's luck, because these specialists are chasing a single fleeting moment. A breathtaking, explosive strike that happens in the blink of an eye. Jupiter Beach, Florida is a sport fishing paradise. It's also a place where fish expert Steve Husky and his team have come to launch a groundbreaking study. They're here to pound the water, searching for fast predators like barracuda, tuna, and sharks. When they find them, they hope to measure something no scientist has ever measured in the wild: how these predators actually catch their prey and how fast they can make a kill.
Stop, Wolf! Stop!
Steve's partner is Dr. Nikolai Cano, a functional morphologist who studies the mechanics of fish jaws.
Come back around and go up current from this guy and we'll start there. He's onto something.
Steve and Nikolai are hoping their research can revolutionize our understanding of how these top predators strike their prey.
Some of these events, these strikes that these fish happen in the blink of an eye. In terms of measuring the speed of these animals, it's never been accomplished, never been even attempted. People have shot video of these predators underwater, but never with ultra-high speed video.
To capture these lightning-quick behaviors in super slow motion, Steve has recruited Andy Casagrande, one of the best underwater cameramen in the business.
These fish are the fastest predators on the planet. They can strike here, there, behind me, 360, underneath, everywhere. I'm sure we're gonna have plenty of misses, but when we do get it in front of the lens, I think it's gonna be epic.
Steve and Andy have found the only super slow motion camera in the world that is sensitive and portable enough to use in the murky depths: the Typhoon. Compared to footage shot with a normal camera, the Typhoon can capture the same action 33 times slower, at 1,000 frames per second. At such slow speeds, the team will be able to break down and analyze every impact, every minute movement when fish are feeding.
Interestingly, there's over 27,000 species of fish on this planet, and yet there are really only 3 realized feeding behaviors.
Suction feeders like the Goliath grouper are the most common. Then there are ram feeders like tuna, which slam into their prey to catch and kill it. And finally, the biters like sharks, who rely on their jaw action to rip their prey to shreds.
And until we look at those finite 30 milliseconds of impact and slicing and prey capture and all the interaction that's going on at that very point, we can't discern between the different behaviors in the different animals.
It's taken hundreds of millions of years for these fish to evolve into the high-level predators they are today. And now, with the help of high-tech cameras and computers, Steve and his team hope to decipher their strikes once and for all.
Dive, dive, dive.
To get things started, they're going after the Goliath grouper, a huge, slow reef fish that captures prey with lightning-fast suction. It should be an easy target for the Typhoon. But dropping down 60 feet, they're met by some unexpected, dangerous conditions. A 5-knot current is blowing a sandstorm across the reef.
So we had to get down on the bottom, crawl along the bottom with our hands, and try and get into position. And at that point, now we're coming up off the bottom with our camera housings, and that's like throwing a sail open in a strong breeze.
Wanting to at least test out the new equipment, Nikolai tries to set up a feeding for Andy.
When we drop down to shoot the grouper, I can barely make out that it's a grouper, and I have to sort of gauge and try to anticipate where it's going to hit the prey, because Nikolai would be presenting it right here, grouper's here, and sometimes Nikolai would put it in or out, and I would think, okay, if I focus right here and it happens right there, it's going to be great. But no, it would happen over here, up there, or upside down, or always seem to be in the wrong place.
And by that point, we had made so much noise, so much crud coming up off the bottom, the groupers were looking at us like, I'm not playing, sorry guys.
After 50 minutes of battling, the guys head to the surface without a single usable shot.
I felt like I was in the middle of the Arctic. Snowstorm blowing all around me.
And the current was ripping. I could barely just stay in the same spot.
Every time I looked at my fins, I got thrown out, washed away. I say tomorrow we hit the same spot. I think it's a great spot. Those fish are primed. We needed to break the ice, and we definitely broke the ice. They're willing to feed.
20 hours later, Steve, Nikolai, and Andy are back at it.
Let's talk game plan here, boys. So you're gonna present the tuna to the grouper. I'm gonna line up to get a nice shot. You're gonna either try the overhang method or straight on. Whatever you decide, I'll just go with it. Let's do it. Jesse, if you could grab the Typhoon, please.
This time, Mother Nature is much more cooperative. The current is calm, and the visibility is good.
So today we came in and did a little end around and swung in from the side. And they hovered right there and acted like they were interested.
Without hesitation, the grouper approach and begin to pound the bait.
They blast that mouth open. It's like popping the lid off a 5-gallon bucket underwater, and it just booms. You can feel it from 15 feet away.
The grouper creates negative pressure inside its mouth. When attacking, it slams its jaws open at high speed. The prey goes straight down the grouper's throat. With 15 feedings in the bag, it's been a successful day.
We need to see their absolute maximum abilities, and we got that today. That was perfect today.
The next step is to input the high-speed predation events into the computer, where every millisecond can be broken down and analyzed.
These fish are feeding at a rate that we can't see with the naked eye. And by dissecting the actual strike, we can better understand what's known as their kinematics, the actual movements of the bones. And we're watching this.
By tagging key points on the grouper's jaws and its prey, they can track how quickly distances between them change.
Here's the floor of the mouth again. So we start with a spot on the eyeball of the predator here, and we can use that to quantify how quickly the prey may be drawn in by the predator. In this case, it's actually very fast because this is a suction-feeding fish.
Calculating the results, they discover that the grouper is sucking in its prey at an incredible 55 miles per hour. Some remarkable skull mechanics make the action possible.
This grouper head illustrates some of the amazing specializations that a suction feeder needs. When they open their mouth, they end up essentially in this position with everything spread out. And when that happens, that's when the water flushes into the mouth, hopefully with the prey.
To generate this rush of water, the grouper's head expands more than 50%. Multiple separate hinges, including 2 on the sides of the skull and 2 in the jaws, allow the mouth to blast open. Suction feeders like the grouper have more moving parts in their skulls than any other creature on Earth.
This is phenomenal because we get to see the explosion of a predator that we sort of consider a slow beast. But in actuality, when you watch this thing pounding out these data points for us, they do actually turn on some pretty good speed.
With the grouper's suction feeding captured and dissected, it's time to go after faster fish. Next up is the menacing barracuda. These fish are easy to find, but more dangerous to photograph. Doctors Steve Husky and Nikolai Cano are on the hunt for fast fish. Predators that strike in the blink of an eye. With the suction power of the Goliath grouper captured and calibrated, the team now wants to document the feeding behavior of the barracuda. This toothy fish is considered a ram feeder, slamming into and snagging its prey at high speed. It has a reputation as one of the ocean's fiercest hunters.
There's really nobody out there that's safe unless they're just too big to fit in those teeth, because they can easily cut right through you and make 3 pieces out of you and swallow all 3 pieces.
The team locates a shipwreck in 60 feet of water. The rusted out structure acts like a reef, drawing in prey fish and the predators who hunt them. As Nikolai sets the bait on the end of a spear, he's careful not to get his hand too close to the intended target. The barracuda's sharp, scissor-like teeth can inflict serious damage.
Just about anything on the reef could be bait for cudas. They love the shiny, shimmery stuff. It's about the only reason you've ever heard of a barracuda attack on people.
The very first time we tried barracuda, it was beautiful. I mean, the spot looked amazing. There was 5 barracuda all stacked up on the bow. Like, this is gonna be perfect. So we set up, we presented the prey, and they just all sat there in the same position, just looking at us. So then we started looking at each other like, shouldn't they be doing something? And then we thought maybe we're a little too visible.
No matter where they go, they can't get the cuda comfortable with their presence.
We are effectively, as we descend on these spots, swarming in like fish paparazzi. They're gonna instantly be cautious.
Trying to be less conspicuous, Andy goes solo.
Everything was lining up. I was tucked in on it like I was part of the reef. Nikolai had the bait fish right out in front of me, and sure enough, a barracuda rocked up. Started taking interest, started sniffing it out, and I really thought he was gonna take it. So I'm waiting there, he's gonna go, I'm gonna be the hero, this is gonna be awesome. No, it's not. He never took it, he must have saw me there, got a bit weary, and then decided he wasn't gonna go for it.
Steve, Nikolai, and Andy return to the dock empty-handed. So far, the speedy fish are not cooperating.
Sucked. We're trying to convince these fish that we're not a threat as we slam into their faces. They're not having it.
The next day, things get even worse.
That thunderhead, that thundercloud there, it's not looking good. Rain's on the way. The chop there in the channel alone is getting to be 4 foot.
This is the biggest roll we've had coming just out the inlet since we started. So
A storm has blown in from the Gulf, bringing 20-knot winds and 6-foot swells. With the forecast calling for more bad weather in the Jupiter area, Steve and the team opt for a quick change of venue.
All right, holding you up, boys. Let's get out of here.
roll.
Good.
Within 3 hours, they're in Key Largo and ready for another shot.
Anybody that's ever done field work knows that it's just plagued with difficulties, negatives, you know, scenarios that you can't predict. So you just have to be able to adapt to it.
All right, guys, let's go get us some barracuda.
The guys drop into the warm Keys water and find a reef teeming with life. The crew heads towards a communications tower they've spotted from the surface. Like the wreck off Jupiter, it's the perfect hiding place for barracuda. Steve, Nikolai, and Andy gather their bait and attempt to get the cuda feeding for the camera.
It's really tough to get these fish to do exactly what we want them to do. We can't lead them around on line and expect them to be where we want them, when we want them, and still act normal.
The barracuda show interest, but refuse to feed. It's becoming obvious the men will need a better way to present the bait.
They're just coming out sort of lackadaisical in their approach. It's not eliciting chaos. We'll see chaos when we throw them something that they have to chase. It's a good spot. We'll be back.
So far, the team hasn't cracked the cuda's skittishness, but they do have a few more tricks up their sleeve. Key Largo, 7 a.m. Dr. Steve Husky and Nikolai Cano, along with cameraman Andy Casagrande, are heading back out to sea. For 3 days, they've been chasing barracuda up and down the Florida coast. But with nothing to show for their efforts, they've decided to stack the deck in their favor. They've hired top-notch fisherman Captain Chris Venezia, who will help them get the cudas in front of their cameras.
Hit it, Chris.
The only work that's ever been done with these types of animals has really been confined to captivity. So this is really the first attempt at quantifying adult high-speed feeders in their natural realm.
Chris takes them back to the communications tower they had tried the day before, but this time they have a new plan of attack.
Yeah, I'm just hoping those barracuda are still hanging there. The boat tethers up, and you guys say in order to distribute the bait, it's best to tether off to here, right? Because then it keeps the boat...
Andy maps out where he'll hide in the tower, while Chris and Steve draw the barracuda out in front of his lens.
I'm right here. The ideal scenario is just to cast within this range here, and then as soon as it hits water, just pull it in, and then they seem to really respond.
The key to the plan is stealth.
So we like to just roll in off the back of the boat right here. We're not that close to the tower, so we don't spook those cuda who are hiding under it. And then we'll just sort of creep up on them, get in a position, and get the cameras rolling, and hopefully the bait's in the right place. And we make history, dude. We're famous.
As Andy and Nikolai carefully slip into the tower, Steve and Chris get the boat tied off.
The ropes are pulling straight out from here, right?
Correct.
So current's running like this?
This way.
Okay.
Right
so
now.
I think they're going to want to be exactly on the opposite side from where we're at.
Steve utilizes some innovative trade secrets to prepare the bait fish for the hunt.
So we're tethering the dead bait, but trying to make it look alive. So I've scaled it, makes it more flexible, cut some slashes in it, get it moving like it's alive, get it running through the water and get it doing that. Let's see if we can't make the cudas hit it.
We're gonna find out if they're hungry.
All right.
Are we ready?
With the boat in perfect striking distance, Captain Chris starts casting across the tower, directly in front of Andy's camera. The fast-moving bait looks like wounded prey. The barracuda immediately take interest.
You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready to go.
Those CUDA are trying to find anything that looks out of the ordinary. Anybody that looks like they can't keep up with the group, slightly injured, slightly damaged, that CUDA decides you're mine. It doesn't matter how hard you swim to get away, you don't stand a chance. Please tell me Andy got that.
Hopefully.
Spot on.
First cast.
Cast number one.
Get another
Spot
one.
on.
Get another one.
He is hungry.
Valley, who's ready?
How do we...
Andy is in perfect position to record some high-speed shots.
The trickiest part about, filming any of these fish is trying to think like them. I'm a shark guy, I'm not really a barracuda guy, so I just think like a predator in that sense. If there's prey there and I'm hungry, I'm gonna chase it.
Right in front of him, too.
You got it right there.
Oh, he
You
did,
got
didn't
it
he?
right there.
Oh, yes.
Get another rig.
He's got that shot, I
Right
hope.
here. Woohoo! This one's lathered up with some nice squid juice too. It'll taste even better. That's what those teeth can potentially do to any soft flesh. Just tearing things apart. Luckily for the ballyhoo, he was already dead, because you can just imagine seeing that as your last sight. Whack!
The CUDAs have become so comfortable with Andy, they're hiding behind him, then flashing by to pound the moving bait.
That, ladies and gentlemen, was the body shot.
So he came out. This time around, he came out.
What do you say, ladies?
Yeah,
All right.
I think we got some stuff today. Finally, a couple CUDA right in front of the lens. Maybe not right in front of the lens, but it was pretty close.
Pretty
a couple
close.
nice wides. They're definitely active.
Totally fired up.
Little Rottweilers.
This was what we needed.
Yeah, it was a good day. Finally had some action. A couple of good bites right at the camera. Lots of barracudas hunting. And it was actually kind of fun. Now I'm just gonna sit here.
With Andy's work done, Steve and Nikolai can now attack the footage on the computer.
In this case, I'm focusing on 4 points. 1 point here is on the prey, which is a ballyhoo. 3 points are on the barracuda. So I do this frame by frame through each of these videos. And in that way, we end up with data that describes the whole predation event.
As they look at the results, an interesting question arises. Is the barracuda using speed or jaw power to make a kill?
Predator behind me is the predator of nightmares. We got numbers hovering in the 20 to 25 mile an hour range for a barracuda strike, and we know that to be a gross underestimation of what they're capable of.
The CUDA didn't have to hit maximum speed to ram and catch the bait, but it did use some surprising jaw action to grab it.
Usually fish will just let their lower jaw drop down, but the barracuda allows its upper jaw to pivot up, and this increases the gape distance of the predator to a distance which is bigger than the height of the head of the fish.
The snout has a special hinge that allows the sharp front teeth to pivot up when it rams into big prey.
What you can notice about the upper jaw here is it's rotated up. See how the tip of his snout is above his skull line? This guy's head is able to stay stationary while his jaws scissor open like that, and then effectively scissor closed once there's something trapped inside here.
To finish the job, the Cuda then uses its head shake to rip the prey into pieces.
So all of a sudden those teeth are doing their job of high impact, high slicing. We've got a Cuisinart at the end of a torpedo.
It's a unique, effective, and sinister-looking technique, but not yet an example of true high-speed ram feeding. For that, Husky and the crew will need to head out to deeper waters. They're now on the hunt for the real speedsters, like marlin, wahoo, and mahi-mahi, which all use pure speed to kill their prey. It's day 10 of Steve, Nikolai, and Andy's high-speed fishing trip. So far, they've captured first ever ultra slow-mo images of both grouper and barracuda in the wild.
Hey, Colonel, how are we?
For the next challenge, they've recruited expert angler Carl Anderson to guide their hunt for some high-octane ram feeders.
We got a new member of our team, Carl. Apparently he's a super hot fisherman. He's gonna throw a bunch of live bait on us, hopefully get the predators riled up. We're gonna get some shots.
So, you know, we know what you're trying to do on both sides of the coin, not only as far as the fish, but as far as the filming goes.
They're hoping to find tuna, marlin, mahi-mahi, or bonito, fish that use speed as their weapon. Because these fish strike so fast in the open ocean, no one has ever captured the moment of impact with the Typhoon's level of detail. One of Carl's secret weapons is the bait he mixes.
So, these will do it for us, huh? Saw to work, I'm hoping.
Locked and loaded, the crew heads 3 miles out to sea. Carl brings them to a ledge that's 80 feet deep. He sets up shop next to their dive boat and starts chumming the water with hundreds of bait fish. His chum slick will attract fish as it spreads on the current. It doesn't take long for the predators to arrive.
Bonitas, they're here. Why don't you guys probably ought to start getting suited up?
We're gonna get geared up.
Yeah, man, I would say go ahead, get suited up, get ready to roll.
This is looking really good. This is like the best we've seen out here. We have current slick in here. We have fish busting the surface out here. The sun has just come through. It's awesome.
Carl's expertise came in as just absolutely monumental help. The guy was able to climb off the back of the boat, grab some Spanish sardines, start lobbing them in the water, and this guy's got fish on us in a matter of 10 minutes.
The new arrivals are bonito tuna, the fastest ram-feeding fish they've seen, when they can see them.
These things are moving the same velocity as many of the birds flying through woods, and they're deciding on something off in the distance. It's not just sitting in space. That thing off in the distance is trying like hell to get out of Dodge.
When you're dealing with like these little silvery sardines zipping around and these tuna bolting everywhere, you just have to get lucky. Because I'm on one sardine here, and then all of a sudden it zips over my head. Before I can turn around, it's gone.
Catching the tuna on camera will be no easy feat, but they need the high-speed footage to be able to analyze the fish's impressive striking power.
What we think is really interesting here is that when you are a ram feeder, you have absolutely no help to get the food into your mouth other than movement of your body itself.
Since the tuna doesn't use suction and has small teeth, it relies on its momentum to push the food down its throat. After 40 minutes, the current changes and the chaos ends.
Keep it right there, Charlie.
The guys come to the surface and notice there are still a few tuna hanging around the boat. So they throw in a hook to see what they can catch.
Yeah, we have bonitos, guys. And they are in town.
A hooked bonito gives them a chance to highlight its distinctive
bonito.
mechanics.
What is that?
This is a bonito. It's a member of the tuna family. See, his fins look like airplane wings screaming through the water. Perfect torpedo shape.
So this guy is really designed to use his torpedo-shaped body to propel himself effortlessly through the water. The tail is basically formed like a set of fins here. The scoops on top and below are basically helping for hydrodynamic stability. So this guy is just totally designed to scream through the water column.
Yeah, it looks like a jet fighter missile. And they don't really have very big teeth, do they? If I put my finger in there, would it hurt?
No, you can go right ahead.
Wow, well, I can see where they can tear stuff in half.
It's a quick fish. It's a very fast fish.
Steve and Nikolai are thrilled. The tuna have provided the best ram-feeding behavior they've seen to date. Knowing that these big, chaotic feeds tend to attract many species, they decide to return for another session the next day. They're hoping the commotion will draw in additional speedsters. Little do they know, other dinner guests may also be planning to attend. Doctors Steve Husky and Nikolai Cano have finally struck gold. They've found a way to lure the blazing fast bonito tuna in front of their cameras.
There's numerous reasons for looking at these fast-feeding fish. They've been tuned by millions of years of evolution to do what they do and do it really well.
They're traveling underwater at a velocity that if you pulled them out of the water and let them move through the almost frictionless air, they'd be moving at hundreds of miles an hour.
For the second day in a row, the team is out floating in the Gulf Stream, surrounded by a chum slick. It's like a culinary aphrodisiac. The blood in the water sends the tuna into a frenzy.
The bonita, I think, were absolutely in tune with the fact that we were there. They're just such voracious predators, and they knew that we could in no way keep up with them or pose a threat to them. They went about business as usual.
But the feeding chaos also attracts other large predators. All of a sudden, the team is faced with a pack of 9-foot-long, unpredictable bull sharks.
So everyone knows bull sharks are, highest testosterone levels out of any species on the planet. So they mean business, especially when there's fish around, live fish.
Both aggressive and volatile, bull sharks attack more people in Florida waters than any other shark.
So it was real touch and go for a while with the sharks. It's not my cup of tea. And being in the water with 30 bull sharks swimming around it's threatening. I didn't want to take my eyes off them. So I had to keep spinning in 360s knowing that my backside was always uncovered. Somebody always had a chance to attack me from behind. And these guys are known for that.
Andy is getting great shots with the Typhoon, but eventually decides it's time for a retreat to the safety of the boat.
Well, the biggest thing is just to not let them bully you around, because they will. If you swim away from a shark that's aggressive and charging you, it's going to continue to chase you. So if you flip around and swim at it, it gets confused and it's like, whoa, wait a second, and then you become the dominant predator. Now let's just jump in and
Being
do
an
it,
experienced shark diver, Andy is eager to get back in the water. But Steve and Nikolai decide they're more comfortable topside.
My only
guy, and
concern
they were
is
just
the
really-
one guy that grabs a bonito and goes bonkers.
Straight in
Goes
there.
right there.
Yeah,
That's a
that's
punch.
that's a
That's a
huge
sucker
concern.
punch.
If that does happen, you have to expect that they're gonna want to bite whatever is in biting distance. So, because you saw what happened when one grabs it, it's like a pack of wolves. They all, descend upon it.
Even so, the feeding action is an opportunity too good to pass up. Steve and Nikolai hook some tuna to use as bait, while Andy preps to shoot some slow-mo shark feeding behavior for the scientists to analyze.
Come on, Husky. Hold 'em up, boy. Nice. Beauty. What is that? It's called a shark biscuit. That's what that is.
This is shark biscuit, isn't it? We're going to use this one to try and induce a bull shark attack, essentially, and try and measure how fast a bull shark is able to hit something this quick.
When Andy's ready, they throw some bloody tuna in the water to get the sharks excited.
We just want to
We got 2 or 3 now. I think that's enough to get started.
Wow. These serious reds. He's a bleeder.
Okay, this is probably not going to take long.
Almost instantly, the feeding frenzy begins. It's time for Andy to do what he does best: swim with bloodthirsty sharks to collect some priceless pictures. It's Monday afternoon, just off the coast of Florida. Steve Husky and Nikolai Cano are preparing some appetizers for a pack of hungry bull sharks that are chasing a school of tuna. There's a method to their madness. To capture feeding behavior in ultra slow motion, they need to get the sharks biting. Cameraman Andy Casagrande is in the water alone. He'll remain tied to the boat to minimize the risk of sharks sneaking up behind him.
There's still quite a few bonito darting around, as you can see on the surface as well, but I do see a few shadows lurking deep, so I'm pretty certain we got bull sharks underneath us.
With both the tuna and the sharks feeding simultaneously, Steve and Nikolai have a real-time open water laboratory.
There's a school of bonito around us now going absolutely ballistic. And they're smoking these baits. You can see them just coming out of the water almost as they're striking.
The bonito and the bull shark rely on 2 completely different mechanisms for feeding. The bonito use their ramming speed to catch and kill their prey. The sharks aren't nearly as fast. They use their jaw power to both grab and rip.
The fast fish, because their body's moving so fast, they tend to have a very limited movement in their jaws. Maybe a little bit of up and down flexion like a bird's beak almost, but they're not protruding their jaws off their face.
The shark's technique is called jaw ram. As the teeth make contact, the upper jaw protrudes out, clamps on, and then pulls back, sawing the prey into pieces. Andy captures the perfect shot as a bull severs a bonito in half. Nikolai pulls up what's left of the head.
look at that cut. So you can basically see individual cut marks from teeth here. Absolutely just lasered through. That's really impressive.
I mean, that would take 30 seconds with our knife to get through what was there.
Oh. And this was just one silky soft thump in the rod, and this was accomplished.
Steve,
Yeah!
we got a couple bull shark bites, buddy. Yeah.
Well, we saw some activity up here. The water was clear enough that chaos was going on below me. I'm glad you're all right.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I mean, it's not like a white shark bite where you see all the teeth and the jaw distension, but I mean, I think if we deconstruct it, you might be able to get some science out of it.
Nice. Come on in.
All right, man.
Despite the chaos, Andy has captured some very revealing footage.
In real time, all you just see is this and a big frenzy and it disappears. Slow motion, you can deconstruct this and see that they're actually picking their target and the place on the fish that they want to bite. Because sharks are notorious for removing the propulsion of their prey.
The team now has good examples of all three feeding behaviors: suction, ram, and jaw ram. After weeks on the water, it's now time to buckle down in the lab.
And then we're going from 348 to 390.
High-speed images of predation events that happened in milliseconds are now at their fingertips.
And our predator speed is 0.45.
It's the fastest one yet.
And our prey speed is 0.06.
So again, 7 times, 7.5 times faster.
Yeah. Awesome.
That's a lot to look at, but with the high-speed video, it's absolutely crystal clear. You can break that down into such finite little pieces. It's easy to discern what behavior is happening when. The numbers we're coming up with so far.
Their results have shown that the suction-feeding grouper can hoover up its prey at 55 miles per hour.
I mean, if you watch the back end of that ballyhoo, it's actually going to be distorted by the suction of the grouper.
But how does that killing speed stack up against the lightning-quick ram feeders like the bonito tuna?
This is the creme de la creme of what we collected with regard to speed out there in the ocean, and this body shape is perfect for that. It's an excellent torpedo shape.
Unlike the barracuda, which uses scissor-like jaws to slice and dice its prey, the tuna's teeth and jaws are small. Their only weapon is speed. To catch and kill their prey, they have to smash into it.
And we're arriving here at one of those fish that's certainly up at the top of that scale. 40 miles an hour through water. You know, think about that. Many of us tries to walk through water. We're like moving through molasses.
The high-speed video also highlights an amazing self-preservation characteristic the tuna used during the chaos of a feeding frenzy.
These predators have a sixth sense, so they have a way of determining where their brothers and sisters are in the school all around them. Rather than just using their eyes to see what's happening, they can actually feel the pressure within the water column.
Like most bony fish, the tuna can pick up even minute disturbances in the water using tiny sensors called the lateral line that run along its body.
What they can do with these sensors is pick up any motion from a pod mate or from an injured fish, and they'll pick up something like a millimeter of movement at over 100 meters distance. So they're incredibly sensitive sensory systems that allow these animals to stay on top of their environment at all times.
They also have the body control to maneuver at high speeds, using their fins like precision wingtips.
One cool aspect is the pectoral fin here. The pectoral fin is equivalent to your arm. This fin can basically fold out, and you will see on the video that the bonito will do that at the very last minute in order to get stability when they move in for the kill.
Great way to stabilize yourself when you're coming in at 40 miles an hour plus, like a dart trying to hammer your food.
Steve, Nikolai, and Andy have had a monumentally successful expedition. They've proven that their ultra-high-speed camera can function in tough underwater conditions and captured one-of-a-kind images of fish striking their prey. Images that will provide rare new insights into elusive fish behavior. Soon, the team will be back out on the water, tracking fast fish and enjoying the rush that comes from the moment of capture. Their images are pushing the limits of scientific exploration and inspiring us to appreciate how truly remarkable these creatures really are.